Someone is posting consistently, but gets engagement as well, and no meetings. What's actually broken?
What LinkedIn is now, it's a relationship infrastructure. It's almost like real life networking. Everybody knows what you do. You make sure that you're in the right room with the right relevant people, and you start building relationships.
We feel that, okay, fine, I posted this content last month. I should not repeat it because it's dated.
So if you get the right level of engagement, which isn't just a like, how long have they spent looking through your post? Have they clicked on your profile? Have they looked through it? Have they sent you a connection request?
It's only obviously the recruiters and sales professionals who are spending a lot of time on LinkedIn.
There's a lot of noise around AI doing the sales on behalf of the human to a human.
I don't think most SME owners, they have a lead generation problem. What they have is clarity, consistency, and a follow-through problem. Which is LinkedIn really saturated, or are most people just inconsistent? Welcome to the Recruitment Coverage Show. I'm your host, Ketan Gajjar. Today we've got James Willis, the founder of Willpower Lead Gen, as a guest. Willpower Lead Gen is a platform and a business which enables consultants, business owners, and coaches streamline their business pipeline. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ketan. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. So, James, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and how did you launch Willpower Lead Gen?
Long story, but it did start way back when, in recruitment, actually. So I was in recruitment for 12 years myself, worked in the blue collar sector, industrial driving and all that sort of stuff, early morning check-ins and that sort of interesting stuff. Then moved into perm recruitment, done that for 8 years or so with some of the big FTSE recruiters and a couple of the smaller agents. Then took the opportunity to join a business in a business development role, telemarketing role, where I done really well in a short period of time, got promoted to director. And a couple of years ago, almost flew the nest a little bit. I was a director in theory, which was great, but actually when it came to calling the shots and running the business, that wasn't what I was doing.
Right.
And that's what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to be the master of my own destiny. So we spotted a gap because lead generation was inconsistent and perhaps not being delivered in the right way across the market. So we thought, look, let's do it the right way. Let's get out there and let's help businesses, business coaches, business owners grow their pipeline, grow their business and achieve some results.
Absolutely. So, and I think you hit the nail there. As it stands, as of now, we all know that how things are, especially with the lead generation aspect, because everyone wants new clients and then they want to build the pipeline. But I don't think most SME owners, they have a lead generation problem. What they have is clarity, consistency, and a follow-through problem. Would you agree with that?
All 3 points. Yeah. And I think they're all really, really key. And they're all areas that if they're not nailed correctly, they fall flat. And what doesn't happen is the thing at the end, which is paying customers. And that's what everybody wants.
Totally. And then everybody keeps, talking about LinkedIn, how it's changing. And it has been changing, to be honest. Obviously, even if I look at my posts and the reach, it has declined, no doubt about it. But is LinkedIn actually broken, or are most business owners just average at using it?
It's not broken. LinkedIn has changed. You're completely right. Now, LinkedIn and I could go on for hours about this, but they've released something called 360 Brew, which is a AI that sits in the background and it rewards things like relevancy, consistency, getting the messaging right, backing up your profile with what you say you do, with the content, the comments and the engagements that you create to prove as evidence that you are who you say you are. So that's fundamentally changed. And a lot of people, unless you're in it, they don't know that. But also, I think that a lot of business owners, they're inconsistent with it. Everybody's got the day job to do, and pipeline is part of the day job. But being able to be in LinkedIn, create that content, consistently outreaching to people is something that actually, if you've got roles to fill, if you've got clients to service, sometimes that falls by the wayside. So it's certainly not broken. It's still the biggest B2B platform out there. It's just finding the time to use it in the right way with the right education to allow you to use it properly.
Absolutely. And the clarity of thought and consistency is paramount, isn't it? Because you can post something this morning and then tomorrow you post about a different topic altogether, which yields probably nothing.
Absolutely, and that's the thing, you see. So LinkedIn, what you've got to remember is LinkedIn is there to generate revenue, whether that's through
Hmm.
memberships, whether that's through advertisement. And something that you need to keep at the back of your mind is the longer that you can keep people on the platform through your engagements, through your posts, the more LinkedIn's going to reward you through visibility because you're seen as a mini income generator for them because you're keeping people on there longer, you're keeping them engaged, you're educating and you're helping them grow the platform and the amount of time users spend on it as well.
Totally, totally. So I know, obviously we briefly discussed that this will be a conversation, but I still want it to be like a Q&A, so
Mhm.
that, we have, precise responses and for our viewers and listeners, they get
Yeah,
what they're looking for, from watching this podcast.
yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
let's
that's the best way to do it.
awesome, awesome. So let's start with this. Obviously let's zoom out first and
Mhm.
let's talk about, the UK SME market, which is product or service-based businesses. What's the
Yeah.
most common pipeline mistake that you see, as an expert?
I think it's reactive lead generation. So people get busy and they're servicing clients, they're doing other things, they're generating revenue and income. And then the pipeline or the lead generation side takes a little bit of dip. We can leave that. That's fine. We've got a great pipeline already. That pipeline's great now, great. But actually, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, what's going on there? It's a little bit like farming and only planting the seeds when you're hungry.
Yeah,
You're still going to be hungry for a little while. It is an analogy that I give. So that's a real mistake. I think it should be a consistent machine in the background, working away, generating consistent results. It shouldn't peak and trough. It will naturally through certain time periods, but the consistency that underlines it should be constant. It should be there, and it's something that people should be doing day in, day out because you never know when the next client might leave or something might happen in their world. So it's really important that you've always
yeah. It's
got that.
like it's like we say in recruiting, isn't it? You always be recruiting, even when you're not, because you want to build the talent pool, and then make sure that you're ready.
Absolutely. And one thing that I learned in my years in recruitment is actually that activity breeds results. And sometimes it can be completely unrelated. But if you are busy doing business development, pipeline generation, it goes out there into the ether and other things happen. And all recruitment business owners and recruiters will know this. The more you're busy, the more you're on the phone, the more good things happen. So it's about just being on it all of the time.
Of course. And then I assume your clients are not just clients in the recruiting industry. You also work with other industries which are service-based and product-based as well, isn't it?
Yes, correct. So we work with business coaches, software businesses, a radiation shielding business, which is a little bit out there. We work with professional services firms, architects. We work with a broad range of businesses. Ideally for us, it's businesses that work on a retained basis because it's really easy for us to evidence ROI.
Right.
But we can work. If the target market's on LinkedIn, then we can work with them.
Right. Of course. Of course. So do business owners, do they really understand their ICP, or do they think they do?
They think they do, and some do. Some really do, and this is something that I'm always talking about. So for me, there's three levels to an ICP. So if a business owner says we focus on SMEs, it's like saying you're a restaurant that sells food to customers. Great, but what
Yeah.
specific industry are you in? Do you know what I mean? It's so for me, a lot of people say they think they know their ICP and they may know the surface level. So
Yeah.
industry, geography, size of business, all of that sort of good stuff. But actually, how do you take it a level deeper? What are the pain points that your ICP are feeling? What are their goals? And what can your service be as a bit of a solutions bridge to their goals? So it's understanding that, but it's also then understanding the drivers behind those goals. What are the pressures they're feeling? Shareholder pressure, market pressure. So these are the things that you need to take into account because then you can start building out your marketing collateral, your posts, your comments, engagements, everything else. So you're resonating. You're sounding like a trusted peer and an advisor rather than just another person on LinkedIn or on the phone trying to flog something.
True, true. So what you're saying is, obviously lead with the pain and the value your offering is going to create.
Absolutely, and with the outcome. The outcome is so important. So many businesses, when they pick up the phone, when they post something online, they are very feature rich. So we've got 100 consultants, or we've been around for 40 years. Great, but what's the outcome that you provide, and where do you leave businesses after you've worked with them? And that way
Yeah.
you can start appealing to the pain and start pointing and signposting towards goals if you do it that way around, outcomes and afters focused.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because, assuming us as customers, we want to know that, if this person or if this business can address our requirement, and then comes, obviously the other categories of information of, how big you are, what you do, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's almost that, right? Here's the afters, here's the outcomes, and then you can almost back that up with the evidence of these are the testimonials, these are the other clients we work with, this is the size of the team that services that. So you're almost evidencing that you can achieve the outcome after you've delivered the outcome, if that makes sense.
True, true. So coming back to LinkedIn, obviously, why does most LinkedIn effort never compound?
A lot of people, they treat it a little bit like a billboard, a little bit like an advertising mechanism, and that's true. There is, of course, the LinkedIn ads features and everything else. But what LinkedIn is now is it's a relationship infrastructure. It's almost like real life networking. You go there, everybody knows what you do. You make sure that you're in the right room with the right relevant people, and you start building relationships. So what a lot of people don't do is the commenting, the engaging, or the connecting in the right way. They'll post and go, that's a great post. Look at that. That's brilliant. Oh, I've only got 5 engagements and, no one's, hit my DMs. What you should be doing is you should be going in there. You should be commenting on your ideal client profiles, posts, engaging with them, dropping them a message. Don't try and sell to them. And this is something else that a lot of people do. They try and sell on the first message. And that's just wrong. Okay. Build relevance, build context, build trust, build know, like, and trust. And then message them, hey, saw your post on X, Y, or Z subject, really found it great. I'm really heavily involved in this space. It'd be great to grab a coffee at some point. That sort of message after you've been engaging and building that relationship with them for a little while, not straight off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this advice never gets old. It's the advice for life. The rookie mistake, I'm sure, we all have made at some point in time is, connecting with somebody and then pitching them the services straight away or products straight away.
That's it. It's like walking into a networking room, shaking someone's hand and saying, do you want to buy my service? Do you want to buy my product? We've not even had a coffee together yet. We don't even know each other. What's your name again? So it's, trying to bolt to that sale too quickly is just an absolute, it ruins credibility and reputation immediately.
Totally agree. So on those lines, obviously, if someone is posting consistently, but gets engagement as well and no meetings, what's actually broken?
So I think if they're getting the engagement but no meetings, the signal's there, but they're probably not doing, and you'll know all about this, and a lot of people in recruitment will. It's the follow-up mechanism. So they might be engaging. It might be someone that's not connected to you that's engaged, because LinkedIn will push that. What are you doing with that information? Because that right there is signal. Okay, and what are you doing with that signal to convert it into credible noise? So if someone does, you've got 10 engagements, 5 of them aren't connected with you, connect with them. Say, hey, look, I noticed that you put a like on my post. It'd be great to have checked out your profile. Seems we're in similar sectors. Read a couple of your posts, seemed great. Probably worth us, while connecting and being part of each other's network, and building it that way. Because not all posts are going to convert into paying customers. It's what you do after those posts with the signal you've received that might turn them into someone that you do business with in the future. And that's key, in the future. Not right now all the time, but in the future.
So, it takes back to the first point we discussed about clarity. You need clarity on what are you going to do before and after. and obviously they're on as well. And then that also leads to consistency. Are you doing it reactively or are you doing it proactively? Are you
Yes.
aware about the kind of content that must go on your profile? That's one. Two is how often, and three is when it's working, what do you do? What next?
That's it, isn't it? And it's the consistency with the content. So, and it goes back to the ICP, the ideal client profile. If you've got that right, you should have the right people in your network. You should be creating the right sort of post that's going to resonate. And actually, when they do start engaging, it's all about how you then engage back with them. And it doesn't need to be a let's have a coffee straight away. It could just be a hey, how you doing? Saw you like my post. Great to be part of the network. And it's just these little
Yeah.
regular touch points, little bits and pieces that actually they just compound over time. Um, Most salespeople, they give up after 2 or 3 touch points. It takes 8, 10, 12 plus. With some product related businesses, they have to see a brand 28 times before they even, bother engaging or buying or purchasing. So, it's all little mini touch points through content, engagement, posts. And then finally, picking up the phone. It's a dying art, but one of the most powerful ones in any, business owner, salesperson's arsenal. Pick up the phone at some point. Why not?
28 times is the number here, folks, to look for before giving up, after your second or third attempt.
Yeah, keep on going. I mean, don't do it 28 times in 3 days.
Yeah.
It's over a period of time, but yeah, absolutely keep the consistency because 3%, 5% they're in the market at any one point in to buy. That leaves 95% of the people you want to do business with on the table. So it's where are you? Where are you in their thought process over a period of time when they tip into that 3 to 5% that are in the market?
That's interesting because obviously we feel that okay, fine, I posted this content last month. I should not repeat it because it's dated. And when you look at the stats that you just shared, that okay,
Mm.
what percentage of people actually are able to view what you posted, it's still minuscule.
Yeah.
And then because we live with the short-term attention span, uh, people rarely remember actually what you posted 4 weeks ago.
Absolutely, absolutely. People do. They've got that sort of that 10 second. They need it now. And videos that are longer than 5 minutes long and other bits and pieces. Sometimes it's great, and we've touched on this. Break things up, clip them, high impact, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because just you can get to the point quicker. People are have got this sort of attention deficit now by default that's been sort of bred into us through social media. So yeah, absolutely. But you can repurpose content as well, as long as you're not constantly repeating yourself because you'll sound a bit
Of course, of course,
broken record.
of course. And then there's one more interesting stat that I came across. I don't know, obviously the source of this exactly, but it's only obviously the recruiters and sales professionals who are spending a lot of time on LinkedIn.
Mm.
Uh, the folks outside these two categories, they spend probably about 15 minutes a day on LinkedIn. That's what I've sort of come across. I don't know, obviously the exact source, but what do you have to say about that?
Are you the person they see when they get on LinkedIn? Are you the thought leader, the person that when they actually go online, your video's there, your piece of content there, that immediately goes, that's me. That's a pain that I experience. That's the sector I'm involved in. Are you there front and top of mind? With LinkedIn, and it has changed, and I don't know how many people know this, but it will only show your posts, your content to a finite percentage of your network. And it all
Right.
depends on what happens with those people that it's shown to on whether it'll show it to more people. So if you get the right level of engagement, which isn't just a like, it's a thoughtful comment, and it's actually dwell time as well, which is something LinkedIn measures. How long have they spent looking through your post? Have they clicked on your profile? Have they looked through it? Have they sent you a connection request? If those things happen and your content is formatted in the right way, the next time they come onto LinkedIn, you're going to be there, because LinkedIn recognizes that you're keeping these people on the platform for longer. So we're going to show more of your content to these people. And if the targeting's right and the message is right, that's perfect because that 15 minutes a day compounds over a period of time. And when they're in the market to
Absolutely.
make a buying decision, who are they going to think of? So,
Makes sense. Makes sense. So tailor it to those 15 minutes rather than thinking, oh, they're only there for 15 minutes.
yeah, absolutely.
Got
Yeah,
it. Got it.
keep them there.
So let's talk about the systems, obviously behind building predictable pipeline, for businesses across service, products, et cetera, et cetera. So what does a proper ICP definition, actually look like? And then again, you got two parts of this. One is your internal, and two is, when you're positioning this on LinkedIn. What does it look like from your perspective, James?
So there's a really simple exercise that you can do, and it'll take half an hour, maybe an hour, if you want to dig into it. So create a grid. Now get all of your customers on the left-hand side. Across the top of the grid, get yourself a revenue, okay, profitability, ease to work with, okay, does the business enjoy working with them? Really, really important. Value alignment, and time served. And also, are they a referral partner? Do they offer referrals? Now, score each one of those out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Take the top 10% of those businesses that have scored the highest, okay? That's your ideal customer. Now, digging a layer deeper, and this is where we go back to LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is individuals. Out of those, understand industry, geography, job title of the decision maker, and size of organization. Once you've got that, you've got your surface level ICP. These are things that you can search for on LinkedIn, and you can then connect with and everything else as prospects. Taking that a couple of layers deeper, understand what problem did you help solve? What position were the business in, and what position are they in now as a result of working for you? Okay, and what
Right.
that can then do is that then can start creating the structure for the posts and the content that you're going to put out there. One more step, final step, I promise, is understand what their pressures are, why the goals are their goals, why the challenges are their challenges, and why they went with you. Is it shareholder pressure? Is it that the market's changed and they've had to diversify and you've helped them? Is it react? What is that? Because what you've got there is you've got the surface level, the people that you want to target. You've
Yeah.
then got the messaging structure, but then what you've also got through understanding their goals, their pains, and their decision-making drivers is the content you can also put into that structure. So right there, you've got a quick sort of exercise that will tell you who to target, what to say, and how to say it. Okay, and then be consistent in getting your message out there that resonates with those people based on what you found. So that's in this podcast. That's an important bit I feel in the podcast.
No, it's very important actually. So what you've shown is a scientific way to dissect basis your historical data, and then it gives you a good starting point in terms of, okay, fine, is this exactly who I should be working with, or do I need to change my ICP? So it's a brilliant way, for business owners and then consultants to review their current client list. Now, how would this differ to somebody who's just launching right now? They have no history of customers. It's a new business. What do you recommend?
Competitor analysis is a good one. Okay, so take your products and your service, look at who they're connected with, look at what they're doing online, look at how they're posting, make sure they're good and they're credible. Okay, so certainly look at that. You'll also, and something that I found out really, really quickly when I set up this business is we can go for anyone and we can work with anyone and we can help anyone get them leads. And then I started working with, some clients and other clients, and I found out that actually I didn't necessarily enjoy selling that particular industry sector business or whatever it was. So I think that's really, really key. If you've done the market research, you've got a new business and you know the sectors that it applies to, factor in what you enjoy as well, because well, you want to get up in the morning excited. You want to go to bed on a Sunday thinking, great, I've got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not full of dread that you've got to go and flog something that you don't believe in, or so if you are starting out, get your ICP defined by what you want to do, who you want to work with, and who sees value. Do your competitor analysis and then just dive into it.
And you're right, because you can't be everything to everybody. That's number one. Number two is, I'm sure, nobody who's sort of either bootstrapping or even starting with an investment has enough cash to wallpaper every industry, irrespective of the geography.
Yeah, absolutely.
because it,
You get
it
lost.
literally drains the focus.
Yeah, you do, and you get really, really lost. And going back to the previous point about businesses saying, "Well, we work with SME business owners." That's like 90% of the business market in the year. So you work with all of them. Your messaging gets lost, your point gets lost, and you just get you just get drowned out in a pool of saturation that everybody's trying to operate in. So no, get clear, get really, really clear.
And that's where the specifics come into picture, isn't it? That the number that okay, fine. So for us, we've now understood that our sweet spot is businesses, in recruitment, real estate, property management, co-living, anywhere
Yeah,
between 5 to 50 member organizations in the UK is our
yeah.
prime category, which is where we found to be best fit. There's no point selling to obviously businesses outside this specifics.
Well, that's it, because you've got the story, haven't you? You've got the clients, you've
Yeah,
got the story, you've got the solutions to the challenges. And, with the way that things are going in the UK in terms of sort of the employment market and everything that's going on, a lot of businesses are outsourcing now, and especially at that size, because they are feeling the pinch with the rising cost of employment. They're feeling the pinch with the day one worker, right? So for you, having that defined niche at that size and scale, it absolutely makes sense, and you can be really clear. And I know you're really clear about your messaging into that market as well. And that's what everybody needs to do: be really clear about the market they want to operate in, where they add value, and that they enjoy focusing on.
and then just leading to that point about adding value. So why is intent more important than the volume?
It goes back to the 3 to 5%. The people that are that are out there active and searching. So for me, intent could be defined in a number of ways. Intent is someone who is hanging around your profile for a little while, liking everything that you share and connecting, and you'll see them pop up on viewed your profile every other day. There's lots of amazing tools out there as well. The lead forensics and Apollos and everything else of the world that do the website analytics and looks at your viewers. Intent for me is someone who has displayed a buying signal at some point. Okay.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of it, the other 95%, it's important to be visible and present for them. But when that 95% start getting into that 3%, that's when the intent signals start, the views start, the comments and the engagement start. And that's where you can be laser focused then. And
Sure.
when you're approaching intent leads, your conversion rate should be far, far, far higher than speaking to the other 95% of guys.
And because you've seen both sides of the table. You've been a recruiter, you've been in leadership roles as well. Now you're obviously helping businesses develop the pipeline across services and products. So does this differ across somebody who's selling this as a service or a product?
So I think as a service business, your job is to build credibility, build authority, build and work yourself as a knowledge base within the sector and the service that you provide. I think when you look at a product-based business, that's potentially more of an immediate impulse-based purchase, potentially. Not necessarily impulse-based, because it can be thought out if you're looking at, I don't know, a big software system. But for me, the difference comes from actually building the credibility as a master in your niche and a thought leader and expert with credible references, versus product, which is more of a keep getting the product out there, keep showing the benefit of the product, keep that brand in front of people. And yeah, there's subtle differences, but there are real differences.
Service is something that is, you can't really feel it until you try it. Product, obviously is tangible. And then obviously both have their pros and cons. And that's the point that leads us to the outreach and the in-reach discussion. We exchanged all the emails. So what is in-reach in simple terms?
So InReach is a system where you define your ideal client profile, you engage with them, build know, like, trust, and authority through your posts, your comments, and engagements, with the ultimate aim that people will then in-reach to you to inquire about your services when the time is right for them.
Right. Got it. So
It's the
why
anti-outreach.
does That's exactly the next question. So why does cold outreach often fail?
Because it ignores a bit of context. Okay, so most cold messages they look like they were written for thousands of people all at once. Okay, and they're sent out on mass, and ultimately you're really trying to land on someone at the right place, right time, with the right message, with the right service, with the right solution to the right problem, and I could go on and on and on. And that's what
Yeah.
outreach does. So in volume, in massive volume, cold outreach, it does work, but you're going to burn some credibility in order to get to the outcome that you want. And what we've done is we tried to flip that on its head a little bit. Okay, we wanted to make sure that an InReach is a sort of a proprietary system that we put together
Hmm.
where actually we're doing the opposite. We're looking at highly targeted ideal clients. We're looking at engaging with their comments and their posts and everything else, and we're building credibility through the eyes of our clients with their prospects. And we are, outreach, naughty word, but we are conducting a bit of outreach, but very much, soft touch point. Hey, great to be connected, loved your post on this subject, hopefully my comment was insightful. These just little touch points, these things, is what then leads to in reach. People are going to either respond, or I've done it myself, and it's how I've grown my business. The amount of times that actually, oh James, yeah, I've noticed you pop up a few times, it's probably worth us having a chat. And that's utopia. That's where we want to be and where we want to get our clients. So cold outreach for the masses. Even a blind squirrel will bump into a nut at some point, is the
Yeah.
saying. Whereas in reach is highly targeted precision to build know, like, and trust and credibility to get that direct message this way.
And I'm sure, you need both in reach and outreach, if in your business, because one is you need the drip feed of customers, coming through regularly. And then two is, you have those target list of companies, uh, which you really want to work with. And that list can be, anywhere ranging from 5 to 50.
Yeah,
Because anywhere beyond, it's not target list, then, it just becomes volume. If it's 500, that these are 500 companies that I'm going to target.
absolutely.
Makes sense. You definitely need a very tailor-made approach when it comes to in-reach, but outreach is something that you can't just outrightly reject.
I completely agree. So, and we'll all have them. So, you've got your CRM system with a few thousand clients in there that you're constantly emailing, with weekly updates and everything. You've got the LinkedIn engine in the background that's connecting with people and everything else. But then you're right, you've got that section in the middle, that highly defined ICP, that they stay there until they're a yes or they're a no.
Yeah.
Silence is the enemy. Yes or a no. And that takes a period of time, of course, and you're not too forceful with it, but yes or no. And they stay on the list until they're in one of those two. And as soon as they are in one of those, someone replaces them in the list.
Totally. Because no feedback is a feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, silence is loud. Yeah, silence is very loud.
Absolutely. So, linking it with the earlier point about the lost art, phone-based sales. Why is it so misunderstood, especially in this era?
The what? Sorry. What sort of sales?
The,
Sorry.
the, the telemarketing, the phone-based consultative sales.
Because there's lots of people doing telesales, and they're not doing it very well. And a lot of people sound like everybody else, frustratingly. And it's your job to not sound like everybody else. Now, what a lot of people do is they load telemarketing at the front end of the process, which is fine. Again, volume works, and you will get somewhere. But they load it to the front end of the process. Actually, where we see telemarketing and we define telemarketing is the multiplier. Okay. So your content, your thought leadership, your engagement, your comments, and everything else is there to build know, like, and trust familiarity. Telemarketing is there to convert that familiarity, know, like, and trust into an active conversation between two humans, almost face to face or on the telephone, where you can have that back and forth dialogue. There's so much more value and credibility in that when it comes as the second or third stage of the process, rather than right up front. But there is still a value of doing it at the start as well. But it's got a bad rep because a lot of people do it badly.
Of course, and I think and I tell this to my prospects and clients. I don't think it's necessarily people doing it badly, and this is purely my perspective, because everything that you do in an organization is top down.
Yeah,
So somebody says, okay, fine, you have to follow this process. Uh, be it the first call or be it probably somewhere in the process of the follow up.
yeah,
And then it goes down to the strategy or the approach a business owner takes that, okay, fine, we are going to hit 100 calls a day starting today.
yeah,
In the new approach that you mentioned, obviously we've literally flipped the script. So
yeah.
earlier you used to make cold calls first and then get the meetings. Now, obviously you're doing a ton of work beforehand and then making a call. Am I correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah. So there's still a place for both, but just in simple maths, I suppose, only around 10 to 12% of people, or sorry, so telemarketers when they make a call, only around 10, maybe 12% of those people will answer. So for every 100 calls, you'll speak to 10, maybe 12 people. Out of those 10 to 12 people, you'll perhaps book two in for a meeting. Now, 100 calls will probably take you 6, 7 hours. With the method that I've described as telemarketing as the multiplier, okay, you're building everything up in the first instance. You might only make 30 calls, but you'll speak to 20 plus people and you'll book 5 or 6 meetings. So simple economics dictates that actually, whilst you are spending a bit of time up front, the value in the conversation that you're having and the outcome is far superior once you've built up that know, like, and trust through other means.
And then figuring that out is really important, isn't it? At what stage do you actually have telesales as a part of your, you know, prospecting process?
So for me, and each business will differ
Yeah.
because needs of prospects differ. But for me, it's all about getting them connected with, sending a follow-up message out to them, keeping them in our network for a minimum of 3 weeks, commenting on their posts, dropping them another direct message, and then picking the phone up to them. All right, so making sure that you're doing that initial build up and not striking too soon. You can, it's fine. Some people, they like to call once they're connected back, and it's, hey, thanks for connecting. Really appreciate the connection, and look, just wanted to say it's great to be part of your network and that sort of thing. You can do that online. You're not interrupting their day as much, because that's what you've got to remember. When it's very cold at the front of the process, you are just interrupting their day, and the guard goes straight
Yeah.
up. Of course it does. People protect their time ferociously. So actually, if you've done that 2 or 3 weeks build up through the content, comments, and engagement, that then becomes a far, I don't want to say easier, but warmer call, a softer call, and
Precisely.
easier to segue into, because there's far more reference point.
Precisely. And then, again, this you probably sort of answered. So where does, LinkedIn create signal, and then, the telesales converts it. So it's precisely, obviously liking, commenting. If they reciprocated as well, then you know that, okay, fine. If I make a call right now, they'll listen.
Yeah, I think if you've got someone that has left 5 comments on certain posts over the period of a month, and dropped you a DM that you've responded to or whatever, I think actually picking up the phone and saying, Ketan, look, I had to call you. We've been speaking online, and look, I enjoyed conversing with you online, but I thought, look, I've got to introduce myself, got to say hi, and build the conversation from there, which is against every single rule of telemarketing ever made. Because telemarketing is all about making sure in the first 7 seconds that you come across as someone that is relevant, someone that knows their world, knows their pain, and you're trying to buy additional time to talk. But if you've done all of that hard work in the first place, you've almost built a little bit of rapport. So it is, look,
Yeah.
Ketan, I wanted to speak to you. I know we've been having a bit of a chat online, but I thought it'd be really rude not to introduce myself at some point. Have you got a quick minute?
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean? And that there, as long as you are the person you say you are online, it adds so much more value.
Totally agree. So, and then I'm sure, obviously there's more to this answer, but is LinkedIn enough on its own? So if somebody says, okay, fine, I'm just going to follow through LinkedIn, nothing else.
It'll work. It will, as long as you're doing it in the right way with consistency, relevance, and you've got your ICP mapped out effectively. But the longer answer is no. I think that you need to be human about it, and I think voice does that. I think that picking up the phone is the next stage of the process. There are loads of other things. Once someone's in your network, you know, you can add them to email lists and everything else. But no, I think that LinkedIn and telemarketing as the multiplier are the two channels here. And when they work effectively together, there's nothing that beats it. There really isn't from a B2B perspective, LinkedIn and telemarketing, but working together and making sure that you, when you do ring, it's of relevance and everything else.
Of course, because relying just on one channel is going to be a slow burner, and then LinkedIn already is a slow burner anyway. So if you're just unless you have a super product and a best USP in the industry, then definitely. But otherwise, you have to be in it for a very long time, isn't it?
Oh, massively so. There's a couple of little tricks that a lot of people are wising up to now. But when you are conducting a search, just make sure you tick the tab to post it on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Make sure you turn that on, because it
Right.
does mean that they're active on LinkedIn. So you can have a list of 500 people, but only 15 of them have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. It means they're not active. You'd rather click that button to on and have 30 people that are all posting regularly every day, and you're going to far higher chance of getting engagement from them people then, or not waiting as long. So there's sort of tip number one, certainly turning that on. And then you've got lead IQ and intent and everything that can filter in beneath that. So you can look at buying signals.
You precisely linked this to the next question, which is practical application, for the SMEs. So if you are running a 15 to 20 member recruitment, property management, or real estate agency right now, what would your 90-day pipeline system look like?
First of all, straight off the bat, get that ICP, get it nailed, get it absolutely screwed down. Your net fee income from your best clients, your profitability, everything else. One thing I'd probably add in there is actually look at the amount of offers you've had from them clients, and look at the amount of rejections you've had, look at the amount of counter, that sort of thing. I think would be important, because I think that tells a story about some businesses. So now that ICP, what I do with that then is systematically grow the network with decision makers in that sector. So 15, 20 connection requests each and every day on LinkedIn out to those people. Once they've connected back, follow up with them within 24, 48 hours. Not straight away, you'll look like a robot, but 24, 48 hours. All right. Make sure what you're doing in the background is consistently publishing content out there around hiring challenges, around sector news, around thought leadership and everything else. And then what you need to be doing is converting any engagement that you have on those posts, that content engagement and everything else. You need to convert that into some sort of dialogue. So drop them a direct message. Thanks for liking my post, or whatever that might be. Finally, pick up the phone to these people. All right. So there's 5 steps there, really. It's ICP,
Right.
connect and grow, follow up, post, call. And do it consistently.
Consistency is paramount, and obviously you have to evaluate what's really worked, what's not worked. So tweaking your content on the way, tweaking your approach, but you have to be doing it consistently if you want, better results.
Absolutely. And the interesting and challenging thing is in recruitment, and I think everybody who listens to this podcast will know this in the sector, is you're only as good as your last month. And that can be a constraint when it comes to consistency around this, because with lead generation, results aren't often instant. So do bear with it. Keep up the day job. Everybody's got roles to fill at the moment. It's a skill short market out there in a lot of sectors, especially within the white collar space. But make an hour a day at least to do this stuff. And if you do an hour a day of this stuff, a lot of your competition aren't. And those that are the ones you want to aspire to be, because they're making the bigger fees.
Absolutely.
Or more
Absolutely.
consistent fees.
So would this differ, for product-based SMEs? What would be your advice to somebody who's launching a new product, but again, an SME business?
I think so. Yeah, slightly. So product businesses, what they should probably focus a little bit more heavily on use cases, operational outcomes, that sort of thing. They can still do the same exercise in defining their ICP. Okay.
Right.
But when it comes to the content, when it comes to the message, when it comes to the telephone call, you want to be focused on use cases and outcomes. And you want to be able to demonstrate how your product it improves in efficiency, reduces cost, or solves a very specific operational problem for people, and demonstrate that to the audience that you want to work with. Because within a product-based business, a lot of decision makers, they really respond better when they can see the real world application of that product in an industry or a niche that is very similar to theirs. Because, hey, if manufacturing business up the road are using this system and it's going really, really well and they're driving efficiency, hey, we want to use that system too. So
Yeah.
make sure that that's what you're demonstrating. And when you pick up the phone, do the same. Hi, Jonathan. We're working with XYZ manufacturing up the road and we've increased their operational efficiency by 15%. Look, I'd really, really like you to take 5 minutes of your time to explain more and see if it's worth a further conversation. So it's evidence in real world application.
Absolutely. You're leading with a case study, something that's already worked somewhere, and that gives you at least some credibility when you're approaching somebody, obviously for the first time on the phone
Yeah.
or in a meeting. So this one question is really caused a lot of confusion as well, and I'm sure people have this question. So it's about positioning, and especially on LinkedIn and in other social media networks. Founder brand or company brand?
Founder. Founder. So both are important. Both have their place. Company brand is important as a brochure to make sure that you've got everything on there: contact details, case studies, evidence posts, everything else. Really, really, it's very important to have that there, because where's the first couple of places people go after they've checked out a person? It's the company LinkedIn or Google. All right. So making sure you've got a presence and it's effective on both of those is really, really key. But founder brand is the engine that will drive the company brand there. All right, especially on LinkedIn. It's where the most activity is allowed to take place. It's personal. Okay, you feel like you're interacting and dealing with a person. You can have opinions. You can create, and especially with LinkedIn, you can do more from a founder brand profile. You can connect with people more efficiently. You can follow up with them, direct message them, and you can also invite them to like your company page. But people buy from people at the end of the day. And whilst brand recognition and everything else is really important, humans deal with humans, and let's keep it that way and not overcomplicate it.
Absolutely. And then, by now we know that, every consultant, every sales professional, it's imperative they have presence on LinkedIn and, build their own brand, because just as you just highlighted, people want to work with people directly. And then obviously, you got the whole brand thing. So how should SMEs, actually avoid sounding like everyone else?
Focusing on what's real rather than the generic advice. Okay, so a lot of the most engaging sort of content comes from things that actually happened, real world scenarios, life, pain points, adversity, and how they've helped people get over that and closer to their goals. Authenticity stands out. It really, really does. And in this age of AI, where a lot of posts are created using AI and everything else, authenticity, real world and lived experiences will stand out above all else. And you're right, a lot of people sound the same. So how do you not sound like that? And I think it's through real world lived experiences, because only you lived that. Only the person posting that and the people involved have lived that. Whereas we can all come up with some sort of marketing material that shouts about how great we are. Very few think about how they can evidence it, and that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit like what we're having, a conversation, which is precisely a Q&A. I'm still using the questions here, obviously to go through. There's no point just trying to show that, okay, fine, I've got everything in here, and so it's a bit of authenticity.
Plan.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's zoom out slightly because we've discussed about the ICP, we've discussed about the clarity, consistency of posting. We've also discussed about where telesales comes into play, obviously at what stage, especially for the SMEs, and then how not to sound like everybody else, and then the importance of building the founder brand, and then your personal brand. Is LinkedIn really saturated, or are most people just inconsistent?
It's incredibly saturated with inconsistent people. um, what honestly, Ketan, so I've probably got, and they won't mind me saying this actually, so half a dozen plus clients that I met with at the inception of this business, and we had conversations and went, oh, great, all sounds really really good. I'm going to go and do it myself. And they start enthusiastically. A week or two later, 5 posts a week go to 3, and then 3 posts go to 1, and then I get a phone call 4 weeks later saying, we haven't got the time to do this, and I don't think we're targeting the right people, and I don't think we've got the systems that can help us keep track of it. And I go, okay, great, but you should have just gone with it a month ago. So huge inconsistency. Lots of people on there not doing the right thing. Lots of people on there doing really really good stuff as well, I must admit. But inconsistency is the killer.
Obviously, a lot has changed in the UK in the last 24 to 36 months. So has the buyer behavior, changed? And then, do you sort of see that on LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, hugely. I think now people look for more evidence when they're looking to make a purchasing decision. And I think that socials play a big part in that. Of course, there has been this shift to AI, where a lot of people are using ChatGPT and Claude and all the others to carry out their research or, have a look, what product or what service is best. So I think being omnipresent, making sure that as a seller or as someone that has a business that provides a product or service, that you are not just on LinkedIn, but you are on the likes of Reddit, Facebook and Meta, and making sure that you're trying to get to the top of Google, because people are carrying out a deeper level of research. There's a lot of noise around AI doing the sales on behalf of the human to a human.
Yeah.
For me, that's not there yet. I think it will be. AI is going to grow 100 times the pace it already has done in this year alone. So I think it will get there. Right now, humans still buy from humans. And I think that's something that hasn't changed in hundreds of years, maybe thousands. And I don't think it's going to change overnight. Not right now.
Yeah.
I think it will change. But for now, humans are still buying for humans. And they're looking for evidence, and they're looking for experts. So make sure that you're credible, make sure that you're an expert, and make sure that you're human.
So, interestingly, you mentioned that we see this a lot in our business as well, where a lot of what we used to do, transactional bits, has been taken over by AI, and then we use it wholeheartedly because that obviously saves a lot of time. But still, when it comes to qualifying candidates or even doing compliance, having a chat with the healthcare workers or even with the tenants, for estate agency compliance, it still needs that interface of, people having a conversation with people.
Yeah.
So definitely agree. So, and then this again leads to, what do you think will change, in the next 24 months, especially for the SMEs?
I think that AI and automation are going to change a lot of things, in contrary to what I just said. And what I mean by that is that I think that artificial intelligence, and there is a distinction between the two. Of course, there is. AI is there to think and to solve and everything else. Automation is there to take away manual processes and create efficiencies. I think automation will get more intuitive because of AI. And what I mean by that, this is a convoluted answer, but what will happen is those lower impact tasks, those ones that do take time away from higher value tasks, will become, automated, which will enable people to do more selling, do more high impact stuff. So I think businesses that adopt automation and AI in that capacity will accelerate, because they'll be able to spend more time doing the growth of the business. So that's going to change, I think. Clarity of positioning as well. People are going to cotton on to this. They are going to start implementing AI. So making sure you're clear on your positioning and who you help is always important.
Yeah.
But I think speed to convert that digital signal into actual conversations as well is going to change. It's going to become more efficient. And again, the people that take advantage of that and implement that automation and those digital signals into real conversations quicker are going to win over the competition that don't do that. So
definitely, and then along with that, one observation and then one trend I've seen as well is being open to flexible operating models as well, because we work in a sort of a global office, if you were to say. Earlier you had people working in your offices. There was a sort of the model we grew up with. In the last 5 years, things have changed, and now more so with the evolution of AI, that you got tools which can do the transactional stuff much faster, but then you also need people to use those tools. Now, how do you leverage technology with humans to operate in a cost-effective business model for your business to be more profitable?
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because you don't have to, think about pensions and national insurance contributions and everything else when it's an AI, do you? But AI, people are going to have to feed the AI for the AI in order to do its job. I mean, it's improved so much. I think, some of these tasks that AI used to take it a few hours to complete, they can do it in, a minute or two now.
Exactly.
But you're right. It's fundamentally changing. And I think what we're going to find, and already are finding, is that there's a lot of almost management consultants out there. So they offer a service, they manage the service they've promised the client, but actually they're not really doing any of the work. They're outsourcing, to specialists in certain areas. And one of those areas is, of course, AI. One of those is someone like RPO Arena, of course, or, or other businesses. And they sit there as a management consultant on the top layer. And everything is disseminated through a network of partners, white labeled and delivered back to the client as it is, me doing it, for example, or whatever it might be. But actually, it's a lots of other people doing the work from other businesses and AI.
Absolutely, and I think that one change will be imperative, that you will have to be open to be AI first or tech first organization, along with flexibility of changing your operating model as and when required, rather than thinking, oh fine, we're going to stick with this for next 5 years, and then that will make or break your business.
Absolutely. They say that the first £1 billion company with no employees is already being built. So it just says it all, doesn't it, really?
Totally. So let's do a short, quick fire round here. Right. I've got 5 of them here. Volume or precision?
Okay. Precision.
Inbound or outbound?
Both working together. That's a cheat.
Daily posting or strategic cadence?
Strategic cadence.
One thing SME owners should stop immediately?
Generically messaging the wrong audience.
Right. And one thing they should implement this week?
Making sure that they've identified their ICP and they're engaging with them.
Right. And then again, so if someone wants to, LinkedIn to produce pipeline instead of noise, what's the first step?
Leaning into the previous answer, build a network of the right people that want to do business with you and you want to do business with them. If the audience is wrong, even the best content and messaging, it's not going to produce any sort of meaningful results. So build a network of the right people first.
Right. And then this is the Recruitment Curry show. So coffee or curry?
Oh, curry all day. Well, not this time in the morning, but curry all day.
Awesome. So James, really, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you very much for being on the show. Obviously, for the viewers and the listeners, I will, include James's LinkedIn profile into the comments and the description. And then, obviously you can reach out to James. I'll also include the website for Willpower Lead Gen. So anybody who wants to check out how James is helping other, coaches, consultants, business owners, feel free to, reach out to him.
Thank you ever so much for having me, Ketan. It's been an absolute pleasure. Always good to talk. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers.